the median list price for San Antonio, Texas is $320,000 with the market action index hovering around 35. Anything below a 30 is a buyer's market. A seller's market is anything above 30. This is less than last month's, which market action index was 36, right? That's just the activity in the marketplace. Inventory has decreased though to 4,637.
All the way down into September, it went down because more people were buying, and then it went back up in the winter because less people were buying.
Absolutely.
So days on market was higher. And then February again until September, August, September, days on market went down because more people were buying. And now we're going back up as the winter comes. And what that tells us, if we just look at just the past 3 years, is that in literally 1 month will be the time to start getting your home on the market.
Because I've held 4 open houses since the New Year's started. And it's just been an amazing turnout at all open houses. People are out there, they're looking, they're shopping. People who need to buy a home are out there shopping and looking to buy a home. So we have serious buyers in the marketplace.
So what is the average days on market right now as of January 13th?
So as of January 13th, we're looking at 93 on a 7-day average and 90-day and 79 on a 90-day average, right? So their average of days on the market 90 days is 79. But if you just look at that slice of 7 days, it's 93 days.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, keep in mind that you could break out the segment when it comes to days on market. And if you look at below right here, you see the higher price point at 549 and 2,800 square feet. You're going to be on the market about 77 days, right? If you're in the price range, a median price of 362, that's about 84 days on market, and your median price of 289, they're about 77 days on market, right? And then you have your 220 price point. They're just a lower price point. They're going to be on market around 70 days on market right now, and that's in the San Antonio area.
Can we zoom in at all on the past?
Yeah, we can. Absolutely. If we like right into this area,
great.
We can. So if we zoom into that, we can come a little closer to the data.
That's the 90, right?
90-day average is 4,878, and then 7-day average is, and I like that 7-day average because I just feel like that's real time what's happening in the market. Obviously, if you're thinking long term, you care about the 90-day average, but being that we're we're just looking at, hey, what's the real action? What's the real data that we can use to get in the marketplace and make some decisions today, right? We can use both points, thinking long term or short term. That's important.
I think that's exactly the point, because we just, our first 2 data sets here, what we took from the first one was that within a month, starting in February, the days on market are going to start going down just like they do every single year, which means a lot more people are not only buying, but pulling the trigger. And then we move over to inventory, and we're seeing inventory going up from summer to now, which is really just a reflection of days on market. And we passed the top of the hill at the new year, and now we're heading down. We can't say for sure it's just going to trajectory down, but what we can tell from what we have in front of us is that we're on the other side of the hill now, and it's about to go down. So if inventory is about to go down and buyer willingness to buy is going to go up in a month, it's going to cause for home prices to increase again.
This is going to get eaten up. There's people that has to buy. I have to buy, and because there's people in the marketplace that have to buy, you're going to find it. You're going to find that we're going to have purchasers come to the marketplace to gobble up the inventory that's coming. All right. And the inventory that's sitting there, you're going to start seeing it move. For sure.
Exactly. And that's kind of a note to self, right? With you looking for a home right now. As a buyer, I kind of just touched on sellers, but as a buyer, this is a very important time for you right now, because what we're seeing is inventory go down, which means what? You're not going to be able to find what you're looking for as easily. And if the days on market are going down and a lot more people are looking for homes in a month, then you're going to have a lot more competition as well. So less homes, more competition. If you're thinking about buying a home, you need to buy a home while there's still inventory and before you have to compete against a lot more people.
You have to take advantage of what you have in the marketplace. We started looking at homes we were shopping over the holidays, Carl. That's what my wife and I were doing, because we know most people are chilling, taking it. So we pretty much know all the inventory out there in the areas we want to live, right?
Mm-hmm.
So right now we're only looking for anything new coming to market that we might want to gobble up, but we're gonna punch before it gets hectic. You know what I mean? Because we know there's good inventory out there. We've pretty much settled on what we want, right? And I give people the same advice. Start looking in advance. Utilize us as your realtors, right? So I tell all my clients, I'm a resource, right? Once you're pre-qualified, let's start going into homes, because it's going to begin to narrow the search for you. And I can help you get that search narrowed down to where you can dial in exactly the home you're looking for. August average homes, August 12th, 2022, we had a peak, right? So average home, or the median sale price of a home, was $344, right? Here we are at $320,000, right? So median home price decrease. Let's look at that percentage real quick. What's that? 7% decrease, 7% decrease roughly. I mean, what are your thoughts there? What do you think that's saying to our sellers out there?
Well, I think it speaks to both sides of the transaction. I wanted to really say that, or at least I wanted to acknowledge that we keep downplaying the ups and downs that we're seeing. And, with the news saying that the market's crashing, and it's not really, we've already shown that. And, with inventory going down or days on market going up, that kind of thing, if you aren't reading the data correctly, you might not appreciate what it's actually telling you. All that to say, we minimize the ups and downs, but I want to point out that a 7% decrease is actually quite a bit. And if you look at the past couple years, the ups and downs that we've kind of been zeroing in on, they're not that drastic.
Mm-hmm.
I would bet that it's maybe a 2.5 to 3% decrease in the winter, and then it picks back up because the real estate market just really does this. So 7% decrease is low, or is a lot, which is taking us back to what, August levels?
August levels, right? Well, August it was 344, right? But we
Okay,
still
so
had
June, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we were really seeing the escalation of interest rates as well around that time frame.
Yeah.
So that's had started dampening the market itself. But people were still buying, people were still buying. We see the 7-day average, you see more of a taper in the 7-day average. But when you look at the 90-day rolling average, you see the peak was really around August 12th, between August 5th and August 12th of 22. And then it started coming down. Now, the question is, or what remains to be seen, Carl, is this the typical cycle that we're used to? You know what I mean?
Right. I think that's the point, is no, it's not. I think that everybody anticipates this line going down at this time of year. But at 7%, that's twice as much. That's beyond what we normally see in the market.
In the marketplace. So 7% is beyond what we typically see, because we typically see about a 3% shift in the.
Yeah, I don't know the exact number, but I'm, even just looking at this graph, you can see that the dips, they didn't go down that low that quickly.
Okay.
But to your point,
So
we've got interest rates going up at the end of summer, conveniently, and then we have the end of summer coming into fall and winter, where the market slows anyways. So you're seeing those homes those sellers who were shocked by having put their homes on the market at just the worst time, right when interest rates were going up. And there was a 2 week lull of people just not really sure if they wanted to buy, kind of having to get used to the interest rates, trying to figure out other ways around paying that high interest rate. Um,
Yeah.
and their homes just sat on the market for too long.
Yes.
But I just don't think that we're seeing. I think that we're seeing something a little bit more than what we're used to year over year.
Yeah, so I ran the data from 2021, and in the August timeframe, August 14th, we saw 279 is the median price, and then in January 14th, it's the same close data points, right? We saw it at 273, right? So that's not far off. That's only a 2.8% 2.8% decrease, so right in that 3% range. Right, so you're totally right that 270. Let me just make sure I got those data points right. Yeah, 274 is what it was in August, and then or sorry, in January, but 279 in August at the peak, right? And that's 2021. So that's only 2.8.
5,000.
Yeah,
Well, five. Yeah.
2.8% adjustment in the market. So that's a typical cycle, 2.8%, 3% or so, as you mentioned. And with that typical cycle, but now we see a 7% drop, right? So, we can make of it what we want, but there was some irrational exuberance in the marketplace to begin with over the 2021, 2022 run up, right? Because of inventory challenges and the like, and people in COVID-19. So again, your home can't appreciate at 22% per year. It's never happened, right? Some
I
people.
do have to mention also, just in case anyone isn't aware, to add to the pot of how all of this misfortune happened,
Mhm.
how many large real estate investment companies were just sending us proof of funds letters with millions of dollars in their bank accounts, telling us they're ready to buy houses cash and they're going to pay closing costs, or they'll close in 14 days, or whatever the case is, as is properties. And now they're all rental properties. I wonder how many hundreds or thousands of homes during the time when home prices went up that high and families couldn't get into homes, and definitely not cheaply. How many homes that were sold during that time right now are rental properties making companies money rather than families having a place to live that they can be proud of? I just have to point out that it has a big part to do with the capitalism as well. And just, I don't know that there's a fix for it, but it should not be right, either in an economic position like that as a country, or just in general, just for a company to be able to buy a certain amount of investment properties in the same neighborhood or community or city or market. It's just really unfortunate that so many houses were taken off the market by companies.
Yeah, so a lot of companies sucked out. You're right. Sucked out so much of the inventory out of the marketplace. What I am actually watching, it's funny you mention that, because I actually want to know, because so many of these companies are kind of going belly up. I mean, Open Door, they lost $980 million. That's to the tune of $1 billion. I mean, that is craziness, right? They're what they their formulas just never worked, right? It just never made sense for anyone to buy the way they were buying, right? But even some of the private equity guys that just say, "Hey, we're gonna come in the marketplace and gobble up because rents are gonna increase." That's why I try to educate just regular everyday citizens. Get into the marketplace, get qualified for a home, because you're making someone else wealthy. You need to own a home. That's why we spend time talking with people who've never owned a home. I met somebody this week who've always rented. They've been married 20 years and they've always rented, right? This guy has a wonderful job. I mean, just everything going right. Wife has a great job, but they've always rented. And as I was sitting with them and I was sharing with them, hey, for what you guys have paid in equity to someone else. I told them a story of a family that in 2018 bought a home, and when we sold their home in 2022, just last year when we sold their home, I listed and sold their homes. They walked away with $129,000 from the closing table, and they couldn't
Wow.
believe that. And they said, we work hard, but we've never had $129,000 windfall. This is what real estate can do for you. So that's why I try to make sure that I educate everyone I come across and talk about home ownership. Because if we're doing that, these private equity firms, they have to, the numbers just wouldn't have worked out for them, right? But so many people are just renting. They have that renter's type of mentality. And I just hadn't recognized it until I had met someone who had just rented for 20, 30 years. That is just crazy.
I mean, we could record a whole other video on that topic. I have so many questions. But I just wonder what makes people not reach out to somebody, even if it's a friend or family member who has bought a house, to figure out, what'd you do? How much did it really cost? How did you get a loan? Things like that. It's really not difficult to buy a home, and it really doesn't have to cost that much, with 3.5% FHAs and just different programs that you can utilize. So I just wish more people more families would be educated on how easy it is to own a home, and just start building some equity and slowly, or at least start the stage for some kind of long-term wealth for your family.
Well, Carl, that's why you and I have Market Squared going. That's why we do this on a monthly basis, because we want people to see that we're real humans. That's why we keep all our mistakes in there and everything, because we're real human beings that just love to help people. And we just want the opportunity to help you. I think we try to demystify the whole home buying process, right? I'm a regular guy, grew up poor, didn't even know I could own a home, right? But joined the military, and once I got married, got a wife, it just started working out for us. You know what I mean? Now I know the process of going from that paycheck to paycheck, to saving a little bit, to having not so great credit, to doing a couple of things to make sure your credit is good, to getting into a home. And that's what I want to walk people through and show people, is how to do that same thing. And it's not hard. It's not a nightmare, but it's just us in this type of format that we have right here, encouraging the everyday regular American, everyday regular person who didn't think it was a possibility, right? To say, hey, let's just have a conversation. Let's just start with that, right?
Well, here's a visualization or an illustration, I guess, of what you're talking about. We can only generalize when we look at the data and say, here's how it affects buyers, here's how it affects sellers. But
yes.
we're working with a client, we are looking at this data even still, and we're saying, okay, how does it affect this one individual person or family? And what should we expect? Or what should our game plan be? Or what's coming? And so it makes it so much better to have someone just looking at the data and trying to help you based off of what's really happening in the market. It's so much more than just buying and selling homes.
And can we just yell on the mountaintop? It is not what you hear in the news. It's not what you hear in the news.
It is not. It hardly ever is.
It's not. The news is there to try to get your attention, to try to shock you, right? They're trying to shock you and get shock value. They're there to try to get your attention. They're vying for your eyeballs. Get with people like Carl and I that really study the data, really know the data, really dial the data in, And as Carl mentioned so eloquently, utilize the data for the people we serve every single day. Allow us to do that for you for sure.
All right, what's our next data point? I think I saw price
Absolutely.
per square foot in there somewhere.
I started saying, yeah, next data point, because you know how much we love this data point. It's one of our favorites. Is it because we're investor minded? Is that why this is one of our favorites? You think?
I just think that it's something that I typically relate to with my clients. Like, it's easy to understand. You know price per square foot. You know what square foot home you're looking for, and it's easy math. And then if you just look at the pictures and you consider, okay, is this compared to the other property I like? What's the price per square foot of each one of them? And you decide, okay, what's it worth to me? And is that worth it? It just seems like with the other data points, you really have to try to decipher, okay, how does this relate to this other data point? Or what's the average between this data point and this data point on this graph? But with price per square foot, you really get an idea of, okay, what's the lowest price per square foot and what's the nicest home I can buy with the lowest price per square foot I can find. So I always love looking at price per square foot because it tells us whether the average home is going up or down price per square foot wise. And that's the same way that someone who's looking at your home as an inspector or an appraiser, they're going to be going off of square footage. So
Absolutely. And as we look at this price per square foot data point, I go and reference the previous peak, right? So we saw a peak in May of 22, May 27th to be exact, right? I think that's right when interest rates started going up, right in that time frame. I think at the end of April, right?
yeah,
And so
really started hitting middle of summer.
Middle of summer started hitting, people started really feeling it. So here we are at the high water mark at this peak here, May 27, 2022. We're looking at 187 on a 7-day running average, 188 90-day running average, right? But after that, we really hit the roller coaster heading downward. It looks like we're getting some taper here. In October, it looks like we're down to 174. And then it looks like we're getting some taper all the way to January 13, where we're 172,
Mm-hmm.
So we're 172 January 13, January. So what do you think that is saying to our buyers out there right now, Carl?
Well, again, I think that this just basically tells us that the cost of homes is going down, and what we're looking at is at what appropriation level. Because when we looked at the listing price graph showing basically the exact same graph, what you're really looking at is what do people think their homes are worth, and it doesn't matter what the size or the location or anything is. It's just what are the list prices. Whereas with this, you're looking at price per square foot. So someone in downtown could be selling a 400 square foot condo for $1 million, but you can't sell a 400 square foot one bed, one bath studio on the west side, so looking at this price per square foot, I think even though it reflects pretty similarly to what we saw in list price, I trust this a little bit more. And so it's good to see that we have had an equal amount of a decrease in price per square foot. It would seem maybe 7% if we do the math, as we saw in list price. And I'm really looking forward to that line continuing to either stay stagnant or to drop a little bit so that our buyers have more opportunities.
Actually, that's an 8% decrease. All right, so it's right in that 8%. And if you notice, that's more pronounced than at any other point, right? This decrease here is more pronounced than the decreases before.
Yeah, and
right?
even then it doesn't even look like there's decreases. It just looks like the price per square foot stagnates. So the demand isn't consistent enough to keep the prices going up at a gradual rate. Instead, the demand goes down and the prices kind of stay the same for a while until demand goes back up. And what we're seeing here is, like you said, an 8% decrease in the winter here of price per square foot, which is it's crazy. But again, when everybody tells you that the market is going nuts, you should, as a buyer at least, be really grateful that we basically just deleted everything that happened the last year. And now home prices are at what they probably would have been if everything didn't just rise and skyrocket like it did.
Yeah. You know, one of the things I'm thinking about is I don't have a crystal ball, so I can't say that this is going to continue to go down, or it's going to continue, or it's going to come back up. I can't say any of that. But what I can say is that, you know, we see historical data telling us that it typically trends in that direction. We see a taper. We know that we live in San Antonio. For myself, and this is real, this is not just advice. For myself, I'm thinking, knowing how steady and strong San Antonio's economy is, knowing that we have great jobs in the marketplace, knowing so many things about San Antonio, I really would be saying to myself right now, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and take that win right there, because that's a win, right, for me as a buyer, right? And I'm gonna say and say the same thing to my buyers. Hey, right now we see this 8% decrease, more than we've ever seen at any other time, right? America is an extremely resilient country, with an extremely resilient economy, right? It will bounce back and start growing again. I would take that win if I'm someone that has to be in the marketplace buying right now. I wouldn't be listening to all the news media and all that. I'd be engaging with my realtor and I'd be saying, show me the data, and let's make data-driven decisions as we buy our next home, right? Because that's what I'm doing with my wife. My wife walks into a place and she says, what's the price per square foot? And I'm rattling that off. You see what I'm saying? And then she's taking that into account. Well, the other place was lower in price per square foot, is just as nice. Let's look at that place, right? Which also says, if you're a seller in this marketplace, know what you're selling into, okay? Because realtors like us anyways, we're educating our buyers. And if you just throw your house out there, you find some realtor that just throws it on the market and don't do anything to, really sell it, you know what I mean? You're gonna get crushed, because I'm not gonna, direct my client that way. I'm gonna direct them to the home that makes more sense.
I was going to say the same thing, that brings up a point that it's important for sellers to know about price per square foot also, because too often I hear agents describing the way that they help their clients and talking about just whatever they found on the CMA. People are really good at relationships. It turns out human beings are good at relationships, and they're good at telling you data that you don't really understand and making you think that they can really help you. But you need to be looking at what the buyer is looking at. You need to put yourself into the buyer's shoes.
Absolutely.
And like you said, my buyers are looking at price per square foot. What does a homeowner think this is worth per square foot? Because I'm not buying something for the location like I would be downtown or at the Pearl or at the lake or whatever. I'm buying something for my family. So what do you think it's worth price per square foot? It shouldn't be worth so much more because of the type of home it is or where it is, that it negates the price per square foot data, unless you're in that market, unless you're in that 1% market, maybe top 10% market. Unless you're there, you're not really worried about how much more you think your house is worth. What's important to buyers on a day-to-day basis, to families in San Antonio, is price per square foot. And as a seller, you need to know what buyers are looking out for. And it's price per square foot. So don't price your home thinking, oh, I think it's worth this much. Just sounds like a good price. because the other homes in my area are listed at this price. That's not really how it should work. Look at your square
Absolutely.
footage, look at their square footage, look at what you have and what you're offering, what amenities, stainless steel, black appliances, white appliances, or are they mismatched? So all of those things, and then go based off of price per square foot, because that's what buyers are looking at. If your price per square foot is higher than what they think it should be at, a lot of times they won't even look at, they'll glance at the list price. They'll
Mm-hmm.
glance at your square footage. But really, it doesn't matter. If they scroll straight down to the information about the property and they look at price per square foot,
Mm-hmm.
and it's higher than what they think it should be based off of all the other homes they've looked at price per square foot, then they're not going to pay attention to your property.
Not
So
at all.
so it's just an important data point that I think sellers really do need to look out for. That'll probably get cut from the full video, but maybe it's a nice little short or a cutout that we can use as an excerpt. The other thing I
Yeah.
wanted to do is I really want to go full circle on your point about this being a great time for buyers to buy. I know that's a very realtor thing to say, but if we compare this price per square foot to the original graph that we looked at, the listing price,
Mm-hmm.
we can look at the comparisons of those, and then if we compare that to the days on market, all of them would coincide with saying home sellers don't think their homes are worth as much as they thought they were worth because people aren't buying their homes. List prices are going down. To
Sure.
support that fact, even with homes that aren't worth more than what they should be worth because of where they are or whatever the reason, historic, whatever, price per square foot is going down across the board. So that's good for buyers. What's also good for buyers is that days on market is going up. That means people are taking longer to buy homes, and or not as many people are looking at homes and they're not buying. So you have less competition in the market right now. So all three of those things are really it's what brings together that Venn diagram, if you will, that tells you when is a good time to buy. List prices are down. Square price per square foot is down. Days on market is up. Interest rates are standing, if not getting lower, when you hit them at the right time.
Yes.
This is a great time to buy. It's still going to be a good time to buy in a month. It's still going to be a good time to buy in 2 months. But if you haven't gotten started, I would get started now to at least start looking at properties, because within a month or two, just like the data showed us before, to more nail in the point, people are going to start looking for homes again. It is a yearly trend that days on market go up in February, beginning of March. So if
Mm-hmm.
you'd like to find a home while list prices are going down, price per square foot is going down, and before people start looking at homes again or selecting homes to purchase again in February, beginning of March, start looking now, or get serious about purchasing a home right now, because interest rates are not going to do much more this year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only going to get harder for you to buy a home as more people start looking around the market again, which is going to happen February, beginning of March.
Well, right now you could win on price, but you could also win on terms. And I tell people price is one thing, but terms, when you win on terms, you often win bigger on terms than you win on price. Sometimes you could even leave the price alone and just lock in the terms you want, and you'd have a bigger win that way. So even for me, I'm looking at a place, and I look at the property, and I said, well, he overpaid on price per square foot, 2 years ago, right? He's trying to recoup some of that cost, or that, they're trying to recoup some of the cost. So that's why they have a listing price that's irrational at this point. That's okay. Let me bake in some terms though, right? That's going to get me what I want because I can afford the price. You see what I'm saying? But
Right.
I bake in enough terms at the closing table. It's still just numbers. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And as long as the numbers make it out on my end and my side, I get the rate buy down I want, I get the concessions I want.
Right.
No, if you get your price, then hey, have at it. As long as you gave me all the, so there's so many ways to win,
You're
and
gonna
it's
have to
not
explain
just
each one of
price.
those ways to people someday soon, because those are a lot of good points, but I think that it would lead us into a completely different type of show. But yeah, it's all numbers. If you can afford the house, then what are you really saving over time? Just figure it all out, figure out all the numbers, and you really could come out on top. That's such a great point. It's not even just about the list price or price per square foot right now. New construction or pre-owned, you can get incentives through new construction that will cover your closing costs and down payments and such. And
Yeah,
and like Sheldon said, you can bake some terms into the contract right now that just kind of balance everything out with where list prices and interest rates are.
yeah. You just they feel like they gotta win on, because there's a science to negotiation. You and I both know that because we're negotiators, right? But in a simple form, right?
Win-win.
They felt like they won, and you felt like you won, and at the end of the day, everybody gets what they want, right? And they feel like you didn't leave them just totally devastated, right? So there's a way to do things in this marketplace, but we have the right strategies, and we leverage those for our clients, right? We're not going to get into that on here. So price per square foot point we love so much. You have anything else to say about that?
Not really. Just beating a dead horse. For
Yeah.
anyone who's just hesitant or is buying right now, just make a decision quickly, without sacrificing your wants and needs. Even though the list prices are still a little high, even though the interest rates are still a little high, you've also never probably experienced a 7% drop in list prices,
Mhm.
and they're only going to continue going up. So let's move on to properties with price decreases.
Yeah, so I chose this neat little point because it's something that we hadn't really dived into before, but I thought it was important to understand what's going on in the marketplace today, right? Because we're seeing a different type of marketplace. Um, so properties with price decrease. Now, this is you have to look at this in the inverse of what we were looking at before, right? Because low is good, high is bad. Okay. So in April, the amount of properties with price decrease was at 20% on a 7-day running average, 18% on a 90-day. 53 and 55.56 worth of properties in the marketplace in San Antonio have price decreases.
And this is what I was talking about, this June 2022, maybe even May 2022, where unfortunately homeowners just entered the market at the worst time in the past 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And buyers weren't they weren't buying it anymore. They weren't going to take your bullcrap list price anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Especially not with the interest rates going up the way that they were.
Mm-hmm.
And even people who are just ready to pull the plug, clients of mine anyway, I'm a little bitter. Just the notice of interest rates going up, not knowing how quickly they were going to go up, caused
Mm-hmm.
them to stall or stop or give up completely. Um, and it all happened right last year when the interest rates start going up, and 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 people thought they were listing their homes and they were going to be cashing out like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just the wrong time.
The wrong time. So
But 50% of that market has now lowered their prices.
and your expectations.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's the thing to say. I mean, one of the things I see when I look at this graph is I go back just to a year prior to that, right? So January 14th, the year before, only 24% of homes on a 7-day running average and 29 on a 3rd-day running average percent saw a price decrease. That's
Here's an
just,
interesting point. What does it say for 2021?
and then, so that was 2020, 2021, sorry, that was 2022. And then 2021, if we go back to January 15, 28 and 30% of homes, right? So those were kind of in the, kind of running neck and neck. This is something that's different, right? 24 to 30%. This is 53, 55%. Majority of homes out there are seeing price decreases. Now, it does, I mean, we are seeing a little taper right here. So maybe we've, maybe things are kind of getting ready to level off, so we'll see. We'll just keep watching that.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in other weeks, about that data point. But
as a general note for anyone watching who hopefully is not getting confused by all the data points, if you were to just look at the graph and decide where's the middle line, where's the average line, somewhere around 30% probably. Yeah, 30, 34%. If you drew a line right down the middle, everything below that is a seller's market. Everything above that is a buyer's market, generally speaking. So you're looking at how much into a seller's market we go in the summer months, the spring and summer, and now how far into a buyer's market we've gone just this past fall and winter.
Yeah.
Compared to previous years. So just to give you a little bit of a visualization of buyer and seller market, if you're looking at graphs like this, find that average point, know which direction you're reading, because some things higher is bad and higher is good in other cases.
Yeah, this higher is bad, okay? It's just too many homes with price decreases. The expectations were set a little high and they have to be adjusted on the back end. So as we kind of close out our market square up segment, as I wait on Carl.
Sorry, I was typing to you. I'll cut that out.
I know you will. All right, so we looked at several data points tonight, and we could just do the drop down. We looked at median list price. We looked at average days on the market, price per square foot. We looked at properties with a price decrease, and we took a look at inventory, right? So we looked at one more point more than what we typically look at, but as we square out this one, Carl, what do you have to say to our sellers out there?
To the sellers, it's a buyer's market. Sorry. No. I think that you just need to go in managing your expectations. Make sure that you have all the data that makes you feel comfortable with where you're listing at, price per square foot wise. Know what your competition is dealing with, what days on market they're dealing with. You can even look up showings to close or showings to pending if you contact an agent such as Sheldon, and just go into selling your home with as much data as you can right now, because it is it's a volatile time right now in the real estate market for sellers. On the buyer side, I'm really, really excited for all of my buyers and my buyer families. It's a really, really great time to buy right now, aside from the interest rates. But again, we have ways of working into the contract, getting lower interest rates. So I just think it's a real exciting time for buyers right now, and an opportunity before the market starts to pick up again come spring in about a month or two. How about you?
Absolutely. Go ahead, Carl.
I was saying, how about you?
So since you spoke to the sellers, I'm going to speak to the buyers out there in the marketplace. For the buyers in the marketplace, I would say right now is just a really good time, as Carl pointed out. Now is the time that you want to really dial in, where you want to be, where you want to live, and work with a professional such as Carl that's gonna open up the dashboard and show you behind the scenes. This is data that we have, but we have actually additional data behind the scenes that we just drill through. And one of the things I do for my buyers, Carl, is I actually give my buyers a CMA. Comparative market analysis is for buyers as well, not just for sellers, because I want them to know what this seller thought when they were selling, when they put their home on the market. And then I run through that CMA with my buyer as we're getting ready to write an offer, right? So that we're putting together an educated offer on that property, and everything in the contract is meticulously placed to get us what we're looking for in the marketplace. As we say all the time, Carl, every home, every property purchase, I know you want to say, oh, it's our lifelong property, but we always think this is an investment. It's the greatest investment you're going to make in your family and yourself, right? So we treat it that way, and we utilize the data to make educated decision for our buyers. And that's why I give all my buyers a CMA on the property they're going to make an offer on.
Absolutely. It's super important to be looking at the data, and just printing out a CMA is not enough. You have to be going through the data like this. You have to be looking at what's giving you the information that is being provided in the CMA. So if you're being helped by someone and they're just sending you a CMA, or they're just throwing CMAs at you, it's super easy, and you can probably find an online resource to do it for you. That's not what we're talking about here. I don't think. I think that
No, it's
what
not.
we're talking about is more of a detailed analysis of, okay, what's the CMA tell us, and how is it getting to that number? And that's where the data comes in. And if we can confirm that, yeah, this is about where I think it will be, or actually I think it should be a little bit lower. Appraisals and CMAs are based off of historical data. So you have to go into the graphs like this, and you have to look at the recent weekly data to know what is happening and what is going to happen. And that's a detailed market analysis. And so it's just great that it's part of our culture here to provide something like that.
It's awesome.
That's all I got.
Hey everyone, this is
So
Market.
so it was fun. Yeah, I was gonna say it was fun. This is our first Market SquareUp, I guess, with Sheldon and Carl, and we look forward to making it better. Leave a comment if you have any suggestions for us. Leave a comment if you have another data point that you like looking at. Please help support us as we get started. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel to get notified next week and every month when we do our full, longer market update. And look out for the podcast that should be coming. We'll start off with some audio from the video and work into something a little more professional for you guys to listen to while you're driving or working without video. That's everything from me, Sheldon.
Hey, thank you all. Again, this is Market SquareUp with Sheldon and Carl. We are the guys that are going to take you behind the scenes, show you the data, show you the numbers, and utilize it. Not just show it to you, but also utilize it when we're working with you, when we're serving you in the marketplace, when we're making offers for you. Reach out to any one of us. We're happy to help you. Carl and Sheldon, Silver Property Group in Rio.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Sheldon.
Later.